I've been trying not to speak because I wasn't sure if we're live. Hello, if we are
I
live.
think we're live, and I think we're now the host of the Leather Space.
Yeah, let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, we're taking over the Leather Lounge. No, we're definitely live. I see us on.
Yeah, I see us live. Okay,
Alright,
well, hey
so
everybody.
yeah, hey everyone.
Leather is coming out with a huge announcement today. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty funny. Yeah, I think we just now have the floor to do whatever we want. So, I mean, we do have a 21% off code for Inscribing Vegas.
You want to go right to the alpha?
I'm going right to the alpha. I mean, this is now the Leather Space is ours. You know?
Yeah,
Might as
yeah.
well take it over.
Exactly.
So we're here to shill Inscribing Vegas, which is happening on Tuesday, May 27th in Las Vegas at the Illuminarium. That's alpha, actually. And you
We can get into that.
That is actual alpha, so we're getting that. You can use code LEATHER for 21% off. That includes VIP tickets, which also include a ticket to Bitcoin 2025. So you're getting quite a good value with that. You get access to Inscribing Vegas, access to V25, and access to our VIP dinner, which is Wednesday evening in a restaurant at the Venetian, which is the same venue as V25.
Like literally right after it ends, so you can be at the conference all day, not even have to get an Uber or anything. You just walk right from the conference.
Now I'm curious, what's the final, the last thing on the Nakamoto stage is Charlie Spears moderating a panel. Hey, sorry, we took over. We
took over. We just like made up a bunch of like secret announcements from Leather. I hope it's all right.
Well, thanks guys. I'm going to take off again and
yeah. It's like we got it.
Welcome to the Leather Lounge, a weekly show recorded live where we explore the latest innovations in the Bitcoin ecosystem. From DeFi and dApps to digital art, we bring you in-depth conversations with developers, artists, and community leaders who are shaping the future. Whether you're here to learn about cutting-edge projects or to deepen your understanding of blockchain basics and decentralization, Leather is your go-to source for all things Bitcoin. Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions. Perfect timing. Okay, so I'm going to read my little intro and try this again.
Go for it.
All right. Well, everyone, welcome back to the Leather Lounge, where we talk to the artists and builders and founders shaping the future of Bitcoin. I'm your host, Sean Longstreet, and in this episode, we're heading to Vegas, but not to gamble and to line our pockets, but to inscribe and enrich our souls. We're getting a sneak peek into Inscribing Vegas, a huge Ordinals art exhibition happening next week ahead of the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. And today we're joined by two visionaries who are central to the cultural evolution of the Bitcoin art scene. And that is Nick Sainato, co-founder of Gamma.io, leading Bitcoin native platform for digital art and Ordinals. And also joined by Erin Redwing, co-founder of Inscribing Atlantis, a pivotal project in the rise of Bitcoin native art. As the curator and creative director of Inscribing Vegas, Erin brings a powerful voice to the Ordinals movement, and you might also know her from previous appearances on the Leather Lounge podcast and also from the Hell Money podcast and her work on Project Ephemera. So in this conversation, we're going to be talking about all the behind the scenes, what it's been taking to create and build out Inscribing Vegas, and how Ordinals has emerged as a powerful medium for artistic storytelling and permanence. There's a lot to get to. Maybe if we have time, we can get into a touch of astrology as well. And so with that being said, I have one big announcement to make. Leather has announced the new web app. It's officially launched, and there's so much happening today. We've got Bitcoin Pizza Day, the Stacks cap, the SBTC cap was just raised now to 5,000 BTC, and that was met in a matter of 2.5 hours. So everything that you need to connect to the Bitcoin economy is available to you now through Leather's new web app. So you can check that out at leather.io. All right. Welcome to the lounge, Nick And Erin, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Also, I have to say, in the middle, if it looked like I was chuckling at what you were saying, I was just chuckling at Arthur's arrival, because before the show we were joking about how Arthur was like driving in a tunnel to New York City or something, and his connection was going to be awful and he wasn't going to come, and he showed up, and it kind of made me laugh because we'll see what he sounds like. But I'm glad he was able to join.
Arthur, we're glad you're here. Let's get a little mic check.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, Chris!
Absolutely.
All
We're
right,
still
all
clear.
right.
No
Yeah.
tunnels. Don't go in the tunnel.
Yeah, that'll be in about
Stay
8
in the
minutes.
tunnel if you're in it.
Yeah,
Well, Arthur, as
Sean.
this is your
Yeah.
first time on the show, let's go to you first. Give yourself a little intro and tell us about Nolcha.
Sure. My name is Arthur Mandel. I'm the co-founder of Nolcha. We started with producing runway shows during New York Fashion Week for the past 15 years. And then COVID hit and we were shut down for a few years and weren't sure what the business is going to do or see. And we got into Web3 NFTs and crypto. And from there, we kind of just took off within the crypto space, partnering with some of the largest conferences in the world. For example, last week, we produced the event for opening night for CoinDesk at Consensus 2025. Also partnered with eDenver, producing their opening official night. It's been an amazing ride. Comparing to Web 2 traditional brands with Web 3, there's a lot more, let's say, more friendliness in terms of working together and building something special. This was an event that we just did yesterday, and there's some people that are talking about our event from Consensus, some really good comments. It's been a nice ride getting into this space, and we're here to stay. And then we've been fortunate to partner with Nick and Erin, and together call ourselves like a super team. We make Marvel think twice about who's the best. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. And we're getting ready for this event in a few days at a Bitcoin conference for Inscribing Vegas, which we've got a lot installed. A really surprising venue, but really, really cool. It's such an immersive experience that people will be about to see. And if you're going scrolling through there, if you click on highlights, you can see some of our past events with videos and what we do. What makes our events really special as well.
Nice. Well, how did you get connected with Erin and Nick?
I believe it was through Stacks was one of our sponsors, early sponsors. They brought on Gamma as a sponsor as well. And that was when we held an immersive experience at NFT NYC 2 years ago. And since then, we've been working together and producing events together. As you can see there, that was Inscribing Nashville. That was 130-foot wide curved LED wall. We can see all the art. And another thing that we do really well also is bringing on individuals and groups and celebrities and influencers that are not within the crypto Web3 world, that don't know it, and bringing on more people to be introduced to this industry, which has been great as well. Like, for example, we had the Miami Heat team players were our DJs. And then we also have a lot of different individuals that are not in the space. So we're definitely growing the space, especially the ordinal space, and introducing it to new people to keep expanding it and growing it.
Yeah, I think I first worked with Nolcha and Gamma for Miami Art Week, like 2023. Because we did. Oh wait, I'm echoing again. I don't know who I'm echoing through. Maybe Nick. Oh, now it's gone. We're good. But yeah, we did our first inscribing event was Inscribing Amsterdam, October 2023. That was like a little over 6 months or so into Ordinals. And basically we threw that conference in Amsterdam because we just so far hadn't really seen a really great Ordinals conference. Now there's like tons of great Ordinals events. I still think that we're the best, but at the time it was like, there's this huge community of people who all want to meet and connect. And especially, I think, Bitcoin can feel a little bit sterile in culture. Like you have the orange color you can work with, and then you can kind of lean into like stake maxi sort of stuff, right? But it can be difficult to kind of find like the cultural stuff to focus on for in-person events. And so it just felt like there was such a good opportunity with Ordinals to like just bring some more like art, culture, liveliness to Bitcoin. And so that was why we did our first event. And after that event, I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing an event again. This was terrible. This, like, it went well, sold out, like everyone loved it, but it was like the most stressful thing I've ever had to do. And so I thought after that, like, okay, maybe this is just a one-off, right? Like, we'll just do this one Inscribing Amsterdam event and that's it. And then Nick attended that event. I think you spoke at that. We might have even met there. I don't
It
remember.
was a great, yeah, that was a great event. It was
It
very
was really like OGs. It was also the first like Ordinals are dead, bottom of the market kind of moment. And yeah, I think Nick basically reached out and was like, hey, we're going to do a conference for Miami Art Week in December. Like, do you want to just do the programming? And I was like, okay, if it's just programming, I think I can handle that. Like, I can't do anything else. I'm not, I have PTSD. And then Arthur and Nick were just such great event partners. I feel like we all filled in like important parts. Like I do the programming, Nick and Gamma do all of like the art curating, and kind of Nick is very attention to detail oriented. So he does a great job making sure everything like looks great and comes together perfectly. And then Arthur is just like the king of logistics and coordinating everything. Like there's truly no one better. So I think we've done like 3 or 4 events since then together. Miami.
if you include like the other like NFT NYC and
True,
stuff,
yeah.
not conferences, but yeah, it's probably like closer to 10.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a beautiful partnership. I often say it's one of my best collaborations that I've ever been a part of. So yeah, it's a great group, and it's like just makes it easy when everyone has a good role to fill. We all just like work together well, and I'm super excited for Vegas because obviously the other thing with events is you always go bigger. You know, it's never enough to just be like, oh, I've mastered this and this is how it should go. It's like you always have to add more, so you're more stressed. So there's a ton coming for Vegas.
Well, let's keep going with that, Nick. Tell us what we can
Yep.
expect.
Yeah, so just one thing to add that I think is funny, we talk about a lot is like, you know, there's a lot of collaborators that you work with, whether like within your own company or external partners or whatever, that you know, you just like don't vibe for one reason or another. But like the 3 of us are like we sort of know our own roles and know our own lanes, and we each have like some really significant strengths that we use to our advantage. But like Erin likes to joke that like she's on the West Coast, but she's, you know, hails from the East Coast, and truly we believe in East Coast maximalism and superiority. And I do think that like that like directness and not hurting each other's feelings when like, you know, when tensions get high, which happened for like the entire 2 months before the event, which, you know, when we have events every 3 months, it's basically like 90% of the year. And so, you know, during those periods, we you know, no feelings get hurt. We just like right to the point. And yeah, anyway, hopefully that means that we produce like the most fantastic events for people. So yeah, what can you expect? I mean, a lot. So one piece of alpha that Erin briefly shared while being temporary host of Leather Lounge was that we actually have a drumroll new and significantly upgraded venue that we were actually had the opportunity, eventually didn't feel like an opportunity. It felt like being held like, you know, against our will, but then we realized it's actually a massive up, and so I couldn't be happier that this sort of happened. So yeah, as we've been sharing, we in Nashville, we're at View, which is sort of like this massive movie production studio with a 180-degree wall. And we, you know, can showcase lots of content on that wall. And obviously, a 180-degree wall is hard to beat because, you know, you're like the whole expanse in front of you. But we had a slight snafu with the venue, and we actually had to switch to a different venue that is called Illuminarium. And what's exciting about Illuminarium is it is 360 degrees plus a floor that is also can be have content on it. So basically, like our requirement was we need to be able to put all of the 180-degree content on the wall, and so we're actually able to do it times 2. And so actually it couldn't have been a better upgrade. Although we're stressed, we're really excited, and I think actually as of like the last couple days we are on really solid ground again, and we're ready for next week's. Yeah, That's the first big piece of alpha.
Well, this looks pretty incredible. And
Yeah,
super immersive.
it is really one of a kind.
And what a great way, if we can just go into Bitcoin and art right now, because I think a lot of people are used to experiencing ordinals on a website or on their phone, and maybe it's small. It's going to be the first time they're experiencing and interfacing with some of these pieces. And let's talk about the wide range of ordinals and art on Bitcoin. I know a couple of years ago this is also fresh, and it was like very much limited to JPEGs. But tell us about like what are the current trends in ordinals right now? What's happening in the evolution of tech? And what are you expecting to see this year that maybe we haven't been able to see in years past?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the benefits of having such an immersive venue, and that's why we really try to do like immersive venue everywhere we go, is that we have like our topic is digital art, right? So it's like you want to be able to bring the digital. It doesn't make sense to do that in like a white box convention center with like a couple TVs, you know? It makes sense to do that in a venue that allows you to actually really immerse yourself in like the digital world. So I think it works really well for NFT or ordinals events in general to have that kind of venue. And I think the kind of big thing that we're focusing on for this event, one of the things that's kind of new this time as compared to Nashville, is we have this second stage where there are workshops. So the Illuminarium, we have 2 separate rooms, both have like the full projections, floor, walls, everything. But one of them we're kind of reserving as a workshop room where people can actually like bring their laptops and do hands-on stuff and learn during the event. And we have like a generative art workshop where we're going to have people demoing like very basic generative art tooling. You can like download a template from them and they'll go through and explain like what each line of code does. That's going to be Stephen Morse and Rabbi Gaines who are doing that one. Butoshi's doing an AI vibe coding workshop. So like, I think everyone has been seeing Butoshi's content and being like, damn, I really need to like level up my game. Like I'm going to be left behind. So like, we're trying to expose people to that a little bit. Raf is going to be doing a Sats card inscribing workshop, which is, we got these Ordinals Sats cards.
Not to pull mine up. I'm glad you had one handy.
Yeah, they're pretty. Sean, if you've not seen these before, the way these work is like, so this actually has an inscription on it. And I tap it on my phone. Let's see. Yeah, it'll pull up a link to ordinals.com and you can actually see the inscription that's on here. And I have a cent on here right now, a cent card. And we literally just got these made from CoinKite, which is the hardware wallet that produces cold cards. And like, this is literally like a wallet, like right here. It's just not a signing device. So like it has an address on here. It has like reusable address slots. It's super cool. So like we're demoing those for the first time. People can like inscribe the generative art that they make in the first workshop onto the Sats card and like literally have it in their hand afterward. So we really are trying to like bring some of the tech stuff that can be a little bit overwhelming, I think, for enthusiasts to start like wrapping their head around. We're trying to just bring a little bit more of that content, like not full like hackathon style, not full like, you know, like course style, but just like a little bit of a teaser to kind of get you in a little bit more than just panels, which of course we also still have. But I think it's good to just have a little bit more hands-on time. That's something we're really focusing on is like, you know, the people that come to our event are people that are really in, like they're Ordinals OGs. All the Ordinals OGs like come to the inscribing events. And I feel like those are really like I don't know if you're familiar with the geeks, mops, and sociopaths theory of subcultures, but I feel like it's basically first the geeks create a subculture and then the like normies and sociopaths come in and like colonize the subculture and like make it lame, basically, TLDR. And I think it's really important to cultivate the geek side of our subculture. You know what I mean? Like I love that Ordinals has this like creative, technical, experimental, kind of higher minded. I don't know, it's people that are creative both technically and artistically. It's so interesting. So we're really trying to just like hammer into that and not just keep it, you know, come to the event, network, watch panels, which of course you can still do. But like we really want to cultivate a little bit more of that builder culture that I think is so important to what makes Ordinals special.
Absolutely. And it's inclusive as well. It's making Bitcoin more than just money, store of value, the most decentralized blockchain. It's doing so much more to be interesting. I know a lot of people might come in because of number go up technology, But then when they find the community and the artists and the art, and then they find ways for themselves to maybe be creative again. I'm speaking personally, that was my experience. I thought like, this is a renaissance opportunity for me to be creative musically with photography and everything. And then from an artist perspective, having the constraints and then figuring out what your artwork looks like in those constraints, it's the most exciting space to be in right now. Let's pivot into that direction. What is it like talking about Nick? We're getting that echo again from you. But let's go deeper into that connection of art on Bitcoin, innovative tech, and like maybe current trends or things that you're really excited about right now.
Yeah, one thing I'll call out, and Erin can maybe speak more to this specific thing, but the agenda, which I think you're probably almost about to release, Erin, is that
It's
right?
out there. It's out
Oh,
there.
it's out there. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. I missed it in the noise, but it one of the panels is actually about. Oh, did we lose Sean? I think we might have, but I'll continue.
Continue. Again, we can just colonize.
Yeah, we can just take over the stage again. So yeah, one of the panels actually is like related to the constraints of working on Bitcoin and like really the unique constraints that presents. I like to give the example of like, you know, you can just inscribe anything, like you could just take a picture and inscribe it and maybe it comes out like okay quality or whatever. I like to think of graffiti artists, and you know, maybe you aren't a big fan of graffiti or something, but it is impressive when you think about, you know, this giant bridge that is, you know, there's nothing below it. It's hundreds of feet off the ground, and they sort of like scale the bridge out to the middle with their, you know, with their graffiti cans, and they're sort of like doing their inscription more or less on the bridge. And it's like a very difficult thing to do, and maybe you can't achieve a certain shape that you want to because your arm can't reach back far enough in graffitiing. And so I kind of like to think of like really thoughtful inscription on Bitcoin to be sort of akin to that. Like, is it gonna be easy? Not necessarily. But there's almost something like exciting about going through that little bit of like pain to figure out the best way to do it and make it so it's still beautiful and like and speaks to something and like makes you feel something. And so I think that's something that it's one of those things you hear a lot of like musicians say that, you know, if they get like a prompt or something from, let's say, a movie, and they want like a movie soundtrack, some of the artists make like some of their best work. Like you can think like Billie Eilish with What Was I Made For Barbie. Like this, you know, like having that prompt made an absolutely just stunning, beautiful song. And she probably never would have come up with that had she not been given that like that constraint and that prompt from the movie. So I think yeah, I don't know if that exactly answered at least the first half of your question, but that's like something that I think is really interesting, and I'm glad that, you know, Erin's included that as like a topic actually at Inscribing Vegas.
Nick, I just want to say that's a beautiful analogy, the graffiti one. I feel like I might steal that, honestly. It needs to be fleshed, like you need to post it somewhere or something, because it really is even just the analogy of, you know, the ease of just like tagging a stop sign. Right? Like you can have graffiti that's like just spammy and annoying and kind of makes a space look worse, and it's not really very much thought put into it. Yeah, sure, there's plenty of that on Ordinals. Right? If Bitcoin is kind of like the infrastructure of this digital realm, and you can just like choose to tag a storefront or a stop sign or whatever, and that's kind of like low effort, it's low impact, and no one really likes it or cares, versus if you go to like a highway overpass and you have to like climb out on a bridge and like really write something that like speaks to people, and it's basically like a free billboard for whatever message you're trying to get out as a graffiti artist. Like those experiences of graffiti are so different, and they have such a different impact on the infrastructure that they're on. I feel like there's really, you gotta write a good thread about this.
A think boy thread on that.
Yeah, this is a good think boy topic.
Yeah, do it tomorrow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Add it to your list.
Yeah. I'm actually running out of tasks.
One thing that I would often do, because I was a teacher for 17 years, a music teacher for a while, and I would have my students like write a haiku. And it's just this idea that it's like a hack. If you can tell yourself as an artist, like if you're looking at the blank page, right, and you don't know what to do, you give yourself a limitation, And it's a hack because you just say, I'm just following the rules. And then just that process of, I can do that, I can follow a rule. It's a way of like getting the creativity flowing and giving yourself permission to like do something else. So there's so many like doors that open up through limitation. So, but that's a great analogy of that. I wanted to ask about storytelling as well, because when you were describing this image, I had in my mind of someone dangling from a bridge, putting their life on the line to make a piece of art. I can kind of get into anything if the storytelling is there, right? And especially now with AI art, and you can just have a prompt make you kind of anything that might be visually like kind of stunning, but there maybe it's empty of like a soul. And I think now more than ever we do need that storytelling aspect. What do you think about that? Like, should art live on its own without explanation, or is the answer both? Or how is art evolving now in the age of AI, and what does storytelling play in that?
That's
Yeah.
a
Go
super
ahead, Aaron.
interesting question. No, Nick, you should take it first. You had a better answer. You had a great answer last time.
Yeah. Well, I have to take one little playful jab at you because I can't help but think of that like meme that was going around like a year or two ago, and people were like storytelling NFTs, and that was the whole tweet was just storytelling NFTs. And it was like this whole meme. Anyway, I think there was a reason that it blew up though, because there is something to it as well, as much as like it can be a bit corny to say the phrase. But yeah, I totally agree. Also, I don't think that this was intentional because I'm not sure what we've been secretly working on behind the scenes at Gamma. But it actually, we've thought about this a lot. And I think in the world of the proliferation of AI, it's an incredibly powerful tool. And obviously you have both, like AI artists using AI, image generation models and video generation models and things to kind of help tell their story, and that's like one really interesting use case. Another one that's interesting to think about is someone who uses just prompting, like text prompting, and that's almost an art form in itself. Like Jack Butcher, for example, is somebody who, like, a lot of the pieces he's ideating so quickly that he can't possibly, like, paint a picture fast enough to communicate the idea. And in my opinion, he as an artist is about the idea and like simplifying an idea to its most like absolute, like most distilled first principles kind of story, I guess, if you use that phrase. So there's something even to that with AI tools. But on the flip side, to your point, it also allows you to just be completely low effort about it and throw in a couple of words, or like just say, hey, Studio Ghibli style, like, rip off this other art style that somebody else came up with. And there's, of course, like ethics and moral side of that, but there's also like, the whether that is long-term collectible or not. And so anyway, why I bring up this sort of secret thing that we've been working on is that I think as more and more and more and more supply gets created, we as a ecosystem and even as a world beyond that need a way to identify what is truly demanded, what is truly valuable, and what will truly like have lasting impact and be something that people don't just forget about in 15 minutes. And I think the only real way to do that, or at least a major way to do that, is to kind of add that like thoughtfulness and that story into what you're doing, and really help like share that along with it, and show that this was something that yeah, there is a soul to it, to use kind of the word you use. I think that's a good way to describe it. So yeah, that's my ramble on it. Erin, I don't know if that if you thought of something more eloquent.
No, I thought that was great. I can give like a specific example, I think, because so one of the things that we're doing for Vegas is we're auctioning off the first piece of fun, which I think that is the story of fun is why collectors will connect with it. So basically, for those of you who don't know,
I want to share the
Casey,
screen here. Where's the best
yeah, if
handle
you go
to?
to megalith.
Oh, Megalith Dollar. Yeah,
On
go
dot
for it.
film would show the whole show the whole collection if you want to look at the whole collection, which is definitely worth your time, but it also might show things that you don't want to show in the leather lounge because it's quite a provocative collection, I'll say. I would say browse at your own risk in some ways. But Megalith.art has just the first piece, which is the first piece that we're auctioning. And for those of you who don't know, Fun is a 1,000 piece inscription collection that was made by Parker Day and Casey Rodarmor. And it was actually kind of part of what inspired Casey to make Ordinals in the first place. So it's the first one. Yeah, it's an image of Casey. It's a really insane, this is a film photograph, unedited film photograph of Casey. And there's 1,000 total. If you click on the name, it'll take you to the auction page itself.
Nice.
So you can kind of get like a little description there. But basically, the story of Fun is, so Parker and Casey went to high school together. They've known each other since they were like 15 or 16. Parker is a really talented film photographer. And her style is this kind of like weird portrait that almost seems like surreal, and like it creates like a character basically just in the photo itself. Casey was always trying to get her to make NFTs. I mean, starting in like 2017, he was like, you really should make NFTs. Your work is very PFP like I think it would do well. And she did do a collection finally in 2021 called Icons on Ethereum, and it did really well. And so she was like, oh, okay, I kind of get this world. She's not really a crypto person, but I just think the art translates very well. And Casey, after the success of Icons, was like, hey, I would love for you to make more stuff. Like, why don't I commission you, and like we can work together, and I can kind of figure out how to do the tech side of the NFT and make it really robust and make it super secure, because NFTs on other chains are often, very wibbly wobbly. You don't really know where the data is, whatever. And you do the photographs. And Parker said, great. And Casey said, great. And Casey started looking into ERC 721 contracts and was like, oh my God, this is untenable. I cannot do this. Like, I can't do NFTs on Ethereum. And that was part of what started him noodling on Ordinals, because he was like, well, wouldn't it be great if I could do NFTs on Bitcoin? Like, that's really where I would want this to happen. And that's what made him start ideating about the idea. And over the course of, I think, 2 years, Parker took 1,000 photographs, 1,000 film photographs of 100 models, all have different props, different backgrounds, like different emotions. So the attributes are all on chain. They're all different for every photo, and basically created this super extensive, 1,000 film photographs is like crazy. She did that over the course of 2 years, had a baby in there. You can see her cat is used as a prop, and you can see it grow from kitten to like full grown cat throughout like the progression of the collection. And during that time, Casey was making Ordinals. And so like they were both fulfilling their side of like the creative partnership, right?
Wow.
And he ended up inscribing Fun, I think right before the happening, like in early 2024. They're all extremely high res. I don't even want to think about how much Bitcoin he spent inscribing that collection, honestly. They're all extremely high res images. There's 1,000 of them, and they're all grandchildren under inscription 0. So inscription 0 is at the top, and then there's the Fun parent, which is on the Daddy Please sat, which has since been burned. And then all 1,000 photographs are grandchildren under that. And it's the first time that like anything with provenance under inscription 0 has ever been publicly sold. Like, this is the first time that like someone can actually own something that has provenance. Casey's done some private things here and there, but like truly to the public, like open for whoever bids the highest amount to get. And I feel like that is like, obviously you can look at that photo and be like, oh my God, Casey does kind of have WWE, like crazy wrestler energy. And like, you can kind of get something from the photo itself. But I feel like the story behind the photo is really the thing that resonates with collectors that are interested in it. It's like, it's Ordinal's history in a way, and it's like a piece of that. So yeah, I think it's important as a creator to be able to tell that story, which is kind of what Nick was getting at in a more general way, and what Gamma's like working on trying to do is like, you need to be able to connect with people on like the thing that's unseen as well. Obviously, it's great if your art's just awesome and people resonate with it. But I do think like the humanity and soul aspect and kind of like putting it in the context of everything else, that's what makes things stand out to people.
Yeah. So I had a word come to mind over the last 5 minutes, and that was ephemeral, right? And to contrast that with the permanence of Bitcoin, the art that is being inscribed on Bitcoin is forever. But the context of the art that is being put on there may change over time. Maybe something is fleeting and it may completely lose interest or context. Maybe it will come back in time. So with that word in mind, I wanted to pivot to Project Ephemera, Erin, and check in with everything else that's happening on your side, because I know you're doing readings. You've had some pretty spot on like Bitcoin chart predictions. So maybe we can get a little reflection of like what you got right, which is a lot, and what is the what do the star charts say the next year ahead?
Sean, you're really plucking my heartstrings with that question. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Ephemera, we actually just finished the collection with 333 pieces. So it's 333 individual dates on Bitcoin that we inscribed the exact planetary positions from the exact time that that sat was mined onto the sat itself. So we basically created a tether between Bitcoin block time and astronomical time. We did that in 333 individual places. You know, there's holders of that collection and people get to like keep whatever, if it's the day you got married or the day your kid was born, or it's like, you know, Bitcoin pizza day or whatever it is. There's all these dates that are memorialized for all these different reasons. And it's a really special collection because I feel like when you talk about like context, basically what I wanted to do with Ephemera was uh, create like an archaeological primary source document that could be referenced later in order to understand the time in which Bitcoin was happening. Imagine if Bitcoin someday, 1,000 years from now, is just like a really extensive like tabula rasa or like Rosetta Stone or whatever you want to think of it as on a hard drive. And there's archaeologists that are trying to understand like what was this, and they're like, oh my god, okay, this is a document of economic transactions, obviously primarily. You know, you kind of can understand the economy of that civilization, or at least the digital economy of that civilization. But then there's also like with inscriptions this whole cultural context, you know. And I just thought it was important to create a tie between natural like astronomical time, which is the only way of telling time if you're, you know, on Earth's surface trying to figure out where you are or when you are in the universe. I wanted to create a tether so that someone could understand it if they were trying to look back on Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just, again, this is just like constraints. Talk about constraints, right? Like this is like just a situation where, you know, I kind of realized like this could be a problem if we don't have this type of record in the future. Like, how can I make this record, and how can I make this record in kind of a decentralized way, you know, like open it up for anyone to decide what should be recorded. So yeah, that project is like super special, super like near and dear to my heart. And the holders all got one-on-one astrological readings with me that I mostly did in like January and February of this year. Because I like to do year ahead. That's like I think that's when your mind is the most like, okay, what's going to happen for me this year? How do I need to plan my energy? What are the themes I need to focus on? And 2025 is a huge year astrologically. So I really wanted to just like prepare all of the people that were like tapped in on the ephemera wavelength. And the big thing was March and April being very difficult. March and April being like a tough time in the market, a tough time generally. And then after March and April, literally basically by May 21st, I think, was when things started to look up astrologically. And yeah, you can look at, I think we hit all-time high Bitcoin price yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
We got down to 7K, I think in late March or early April. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is like astrology works. Like it's something that I wouldn't track so diligently if it didn't have major like benefits to my understanding of reality. And yeah, it's been cool to kind of see things play out. There's this French astrologer, Andre Barbeau, who passed away in 2019. He was a big astrologer in like the 60s and 70s. And he was one of the, sorry, I'm totally derailing with interesting astrological information, but you asked for it, Sean.
That's right.
Andre Barbeau was kind of one of the first prominent astrologers of outer planet astrology, because the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, were only discovered in the last 150 or so years. And so all the work done on the outer planets, which are societal, economic, larger term cycles, civilizational level cycles, all of that work has really been done in the last like 100 or so years. Like we're at the golden age still of outer planet astrology. And Andre Barbeau was like one of the first like really big voices. And he predicted the fall of the Soviet Union 30 years before it happened. He predicted COVID down to the month in 1995, I believe. And all these kind of predictions are you're able to do when you have these like longer term cycles. And one of the things he said before he died, he did this final interview in French in 2019. He said, I think astrologers should make more predictions publicly. Like a lot of times astrologers, they know what their own predictions are, but they don't want to say it because they're afraid of being wrong, or they're afraid of people not believing them or them messing it up or whatever. And he was like, look, this is like the power that we have as astrologers. Like if you're just looking at things in retrospect or giving like a daily horoscope, like you're not really using this tool to its full potential. So like just put your predictions out there. Like don't worry about being wrong. Like this is how we learn about how this method works. That was very inspiring to me. And so that's a big reason why I've tried to put things out publicly more, especially as it relates to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is so volatile. Like there are such easy things that you can look at and like see the inflection points, right? And yeah, it's cool to see that kind of pan out for the first time for me, where I really did kind of like put some dates like publicly out there and really say like, this is what the vibe is going to be like right now. Yeah, it's just validating to see it happen. So looking forward, because I'm sure like that's what people are interested in. We are entering a little bit of a warlike time, generally speaking. The outer planets are in configurations that we haven't seen since the Civil War. So we're bringing up a lot of that kind of aggressive warlike energy. There's a lot of Aries energy active right now, which Aries are like the signs that are Mars is the god of war, Mars is the ruler of Aries. There's a lot of that right now. But ultimately, people that are bought into the new paradigm, and I use the word bought in because I'm talking about Bitcoiners, although there's plenty of other people that are engaged in the new paradigm in other ways, we're going to be fine. Like we're going to be fine. We're going to be smooth sailing. It will be unfortunate for people that are clinging to an old version of reality that is no longer relevant and that will continue to become increasingly more irrelevant as advances in technology continue at accelerating rates, which we're seeing. So July is a really positive month. July is like a super optimistic month. Like I would say like spend that time ideating about future plans and visions. It's kind of like a sneak peek into 2026, which is like the most positive astrological year that I've ever like seen as a practicing astrologer, which I have been for 8 years now. July gets this like little window where you get to like see what 2026 is going to be like vibe wise. So I would say from now till July, just kind of enjoy the new energy as much as you can. It's very overwhelming, but just try to like ride it. And then July, maybe like take a vacation where you like go have some like meditative time in solitude or like celebrate in some intentional way, like whatever it is, like try to connect with that abundance feeling. And then the rest of the year is a lot of review and reflection. It's not necessarily bad or good. It's a lot of reworking. We had a lot of new stuff come in the first half of the year. So it's like the second half of the year is more reworking, reflection. Then 2026 is like another positive time. So I'll definitely give more specific dates. And one of my goals for July is to do some pretty extensive astrological research. But yeah, it's thanks for asking. I'm sorry I just like went off for so long.
I have a way to kind of tie it back with a little bit of a personal tidbit. So Erin mentioned that ephemera holders and collectors, could book a session, and so yeah, I think it must have been early January, something like that. Erin did a session with me, and it was very interesting. I think especially, and Erin, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but you can nod along or shake your head no if I'm wrong. This is a special year astrologically for me because something called the Saturn return happens for each person roughly every 30 years or so, and that's I'm getting there. And so it happens in a couple of waves, but one of these kind of bangs of Saturn was actually just on Friday. And it's very funny because in January she said, yeah, this is going to be like a test, like it's and hopefully you pass the test, and if you pass the test you're smooth sailing for a couple of years, but if you don't pass the test and you didn't put in the work to really prepare, and there's specific things and areas of your life that you can work on, it's going to be maybe a rough time. And ironically, this was right at this moment was when we were having a bit of a crisis with our Inscribing Vegas venue, and a bit of some other things going on, and also the culmination, not bad things, only good things, but lots of work and last minute things that need to be done for our major announcement that we're working on at Gamma, that we'll be announcing as the keynote presentation at Inscribing Vegas. And there were some like just unfortunate personnel things where people at Gamma had some family issues going on, and so just lots of like crazy stuff all at once, all at this moment that Erin predicted, in January, like right on the nose. And so I just thought it was quite funny. It looks like, hopefully, fingers crossed, I think I'm passing the test because things are going very smoothly. And despite the 15-hour days for the last week, it has been like everything's been going according to plan, and we're now in a really good place, and this new venue is, I think, going to blow people's minds. And so yeah, that kind of brings it full circle. I messaged Erin the other day. I'm like, I don't know, Erin, I'm not a real big astrology believer, but You're kind of making me question some things.
Yep. Well, I can share the same experience. I'm a proud holder of 2 ordinals. And in January, my wife and I had a reading. And for me specifically, there was a date around like March 15th. And yeah, the weeks leading up to it were like full of uncertainty. March 16th, signed myself a contract that gave me some security. Like I couldn't believe that it happened so just like right on the date.
Hell yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I can't reveal the private information, but there were some big collections that minted this year that some of them used the exact dates that I gave them and they did well, and some absolutely completely flouted what I said and they did not do super well. So there's like I have interesting data as well that I can privately like hold as like like it's literally like a market example, you know what I mean? Like it's
Wow.
it's kind of crazy.
Don't fade the outer planets, people.
Don't
fade
fake the
them.
outer planets.
Very cool. All right. Well, I know we're coming up toward the end. So what might be missing from the conversation? Anything alpha wise from what we can expect at Inscribing Vegas?
I'm sure Nick will have more answers, but I think basically, you know, if you're going to be in Vegas, we want you to come to Inscribing Vegas. If you're in Ordinals and you're coming to Vegas, there's no reason why you shouldn't be there. That's really the place to be to see everyone in this ecosystem. So definitely, I think code leather 21% off for GA and VIP tickets. If you get a VIP ticket, you also get a ticket to Bitcoin 2025. So it's a pretty good deal. But yeah, I mean, we want to see everyone there. We're working super closely with the main Bitcoin conference. We are like their only like really close side event that they're collaborating with. And part of that is that all of their Bitcoin Week pass holders get access to our event. So we have hundreds of attendees, mostly whale and VIP, like industry day pass holders that are coming to Inscribing Vegas and maybe like seeing Ordinals and our ecosystem for the first time. And I don't know, when we talk about like ancient Bitcoin whales and that kind of meme around Ordinals, I do think there is something still to unlock with people because people do, I mean, as we've said on this space, people resonate with art and culture in a way that they don't necessarily with just number go up technology. Everyone loves number go up technology, but it doesn't like evoke the same feeling in your heart, you know, as like the community and culture aspect of what's going on with Ordinals. And yeah, I really just want to like show those people a good time, show them like how vibrant our culture is. And so if you're an Ordinals person, come and like, you know, show out and have a good time and network and mingle. Cause yeah, it's gonna be a packed venue. As Nick said, I'm glad we got another venue because it's bigger and we have all the space for everyone that will be there. But yeah, we really just want to see you in Vegas ultimately. And if you're not in Vegas, we will be live streaming everything on the Inscribing Atlantis X account, so you can watch everything. But it's not the same. It's not the same. I'll say it.
It's gonna have to work for me.
Promo code?
Leather, all caps. Leather for 21% off. You can go to inscribing.com/Vegas to see the agenda, the speakers, and get tickets. Yeah, show up.
I have maybe a couple mentions. I mean, one thing you just made me think of this, and I feel like I don't know if at least I've said this, sort of like on a space or whatnot, even though we've spent a lot of time talking about Bitcoin conference proper and working with them as partners. But I have to say, like on the ancient Bitcoin whale side and like even the Bitcoin maxi side and whatnot, I think a lot of credit is owed to Bitcoin conference and like David Bailey and like, you know, Rizzo and the whole team over there and Amcios and others, like because early ordinals, like there was, you know, as those of you who have been around, like there was some really like hardcore resistance from maxis. And Bitcoin Magazine like came out strong and they did, you know, their historic covers auctions on Gamma, for example, very early on in Ordinals. And that was both a important step for Ordinals and a bit of validation that like an OG sort of like Bitcoin, you know, marketing powerhouse was like kind of getting behind it. But also like, you know, like they took a risk there. And honestly, I even remember conversations from when we did Ordinals Alley that first year with Exverse and us and we did a gallery there, and I think they like lost some sponsors because they were doing Ordinals. So it's like it wasn't even like just for financial reasons that they did it. And so, you know, now they're of course like reaping the benefits of that because they made a wise decision, I think, in embracing like the improvement. But yeah, I just like want to say a kudos to them because like I do think that it's not a given that they would like champion it, and they have, and increasingly so. Like I think they were sort of like kind of getting their feet wet a little bit. And then like Erin, for example, has like really strengthened, like our event relationship with them over the last year or so. And now like you go to the Bitcoin conference website and the very first line item under like the Bitcoin week pass is access to Inscribing Vegas. And so it's like they're really like embracing it. And so I guess partial props there to Erin, of course, but like props to them for embracing it as well. So yeah, that's one mention. One more like maybe tidbit alpha, like definitely really excited to share what gamma we've been working on probably for the better half of a year, maybe 7-8 months at this point. And I think it is really special. It's something that's brand new that doesn't exist at all anywhere, like in or outside of crypto. And I think is like sorely needed. And also I kind of have to obscure what is written on top of them because it's a new sort of visual and brand. But here are some poker chips, and these poker chips, we have 750 of them. And the back of them is going to have like a little secret like invite code to something that we're working on. And so, only to Erin's point, it's not the same watching the live stream at home. You're not getting your hands on one of these poker chips. If you're there in the audience after I sort of share what we've been working on, we'll be giving these out to the audience, and they're kind of fun, but they're invite codes, but they're sort of special in that some of them are it's a bit of like a gamble. You're in Vegas, and so maybe some of them will be like more valuable than others, and you're just gonna have to see what the roulette wheel spins out for you.
The FOMO could not be any higher for me. I wish I could be there. My goodness. Well, that's great. I want to make sure that everyone is going to Inscribing Vegas, inscribing.com/Vegas, and get that promo code LEATHER. Thank you guys for extending that discount for our listeners. And yeah, anything else? We've got the fun inscriptions happening. And Erin, are you doing any more projects or releases related to your work with reading the star charts and everything?
I'm going to take like 2 months off and see how I feel. That's my goal for the summer. I'm going to like recharge my intellectual and spiritual batteries and then like see how I feel.
Nice. Very cool. And Nick, I can't wait for the next chapter of Gamma. I know you guys are always innovating, and I personally appreciate what you do for artists, for me as an artist and as a curator and collector as well. So you guys are just setting the standard, gold standard. I really enjoyed this conversation, you guys. Thank you so much for coming here in a very busy time, because I know that you guys are running 1,000 miles an hour right now with everything.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you having us. Always great to chat.
And it was fun briefly like hosting the Leather Lounge.
I'll put it on my record.
You go back and watch the recording. I mean, maybe don't. We said some things that legal wouldn't be happy about. No,
it's good to know that it was in good hands. So yeah. You're my first backups.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks again. And
Thanks.
We'll be back next week as always with some other. So this week was the launch of the new web app. Next week, something else is coming out. So do stay tuned. And we're going to be doing a live show in conjunction with Good for Bitcoin, the show hosted by Brandon every Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern from Trust Machines. So do stay tuned. We'll have a joint session next week, and there's going to be all kinds of stuff. So if you can't make it to Vegas, you're not the only one. We can all go through our FOMO together on our screens and experience it with the fraction of the joy, but nonetheless, we'll be able to be there in spirit. So thanks again, everyone, and we will see you next week. Thanks again for joining us in the Leather Lounge. We record each episode live, and if you'd like to listen in or join us on stage, make sure to give us a follow on X at LeatherBTC. Leather is your gateway to everything Bitcoin, from DeFi to stacks, ordinals, runes, stamps, NFTs, and more. You can find loads of helpful crypto content on our YouTube channel and visit our blog and learn center at leather.io.